Major changes to the national school nutrition policy. Health authorities report an increase in immunizations after a drop-off during the COVID period. Barbados joins other countries to establish levies on carbon-intensive industries. And in sports, the Prime Minister's Cup final on target for Independence Day.
Broadcasting from our studios in the Pine St. Michael, this is CBC NewsNight, starting now.
Good evening, I'm Pearson Bowen. The sale of carbonated beverages will be banned in schools, and students will not be allowed to take them onto the school plants either. These are among the requirements of Phase 2 of the school nutrition policy. Anesta Henry reports.
No sweet drinks or juices with artificial sweeteners are to be sold in schools from this term. This is one of the guidelines for Phase 2 of the Barbados school nutrition policy. This guideline and others have been revealed by Education Officer and the Chair of the School Nutrition Policy Implementation Committee, Heather Phillips-Boyce. She was speaking at the school canteen concessionaires recognition event.
Water Wednesdays will no longer be required, as only water and 100% juice with no artificial sweeteners are to be sold, served, or brought into schools. And I want to say at this point that I really want to thank you, because when I visit schools and I visit you, the majority of you have taken carbonated drinks out of your menu.
Ms. Phillips-Boyce adds they will continue to rebrand and monitor school meals and sell healthy meals created by nutritionists on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Only the snacks and drinks on the compliant snack and beverage list are to be sold, served, or brought into schools. That is a work in progress, and I do trust that you have the snack and beverage list. Schools are to ensure that water is available to students throughout the day and during class time. Time will not permit me to read all the guidelines. This is but one pillar. You can log onto the Ministry of Education's website to read the other 5 pillars.
Senior Medical Officer, NCD's Ministry of Health and Wellness, Dr. Walter Allen says Barbados faces worrying rates of childhood obesity, with
32% of our adolescents being overweight, of which 16% are obese. The rapid shift from minimally processed foods to ultra-processed foods and sugar-sweetened beverages has contributed significantly to this challenge.
The school nutrition policy, officially approved in May 2022, was launched in February 2023. It was introduced to all schools in a phased approach during the 2022 to 2023 academic year. The event was to recognize concessionaires' contributions and the support for the Barbados school nutrition policy. Chief Education Officer Dr. Ramona Archer-Bradshaw is thanking the concessionaires for eventually embracing the policy.
The reason I'm feeling such joy during this recognition ceremony is due to the fact that I was with you on that day at the Barbados Community College. How many of you remember that day? When you faced your fears, when you raised your concerns, when you shared with one another, when you reaffirmed your commitment to ensuring that our children receive nutritious meals.
Officials say guidelines for implementation of Phase 2 of the policy have been sent to the schools. Anesta Henry, CBC News.
Anesta, thank you. Member of Parliament for St. Philip's South, Indar Ware, has won a defamation case against the Nation Publishing Company and Barbados Today. The double suit saw a judgment passed over headlines and an article dating back to July 2020. Wendy Burt joins me now live with more details. Good evening, Wendy.
Good evening to you, Pearson. Madam Justice Shauna Griffith awarded some $85,000 against the nation and $100,000 from Barbados Today, Inc. in damages and costs for the defamation article published on the 27th of July 2020. Interests have also been applied at a rate of 6% per annum. When CBC News contacted Minister Ware, he said he feels vindicated by the judge's ruling, which brings immense relief to him, his family, supporters and friends. He said the level of embarrassment endured after the malicious character assassination, which made headlines in 2 media outlets, was unprecedented. The articles called for Minister Ware's removal, alluded to nepotism in the award of contracts, and made several other claims against him in the ministry under his control. So that's it from me, Pearson.
Wendy, thank you. Well, there's been an uptick in immunizations in Barbados post-COVID-19. That's according to Chief Medical Officer Dr. the Most Honorable Kenneth George. Sean Farrell now reports.
Barbados remains the leader in vaccinations in the region, having once again achieved PAHO's expanded program on immunization award. Chief Medical Officer Dr. the Most Honorable Kenneth George says vaccines remain the best public health intervention. He says there was public pushback on vaccines during COVID, but health officials have now managed to turn the corner.
We are always at risk based on our source markets. Importation of measles is real, and the other issue is we are quite concerned that other infectious diseases that we give an immunization coverage for can come to Barbados if our immunization levels are low.
Dr. George says Barbados has one of the most comprehensive immunization programs, offering vaccines against a wide range of infections. According to him, side effects remain little to non-existent.
Other than the local side effects, injection site, pain, a bit of redness or rash, the vaccines don't cause side effects. Even in the COVID experience, we had a few minor cases where people unfortunately had bad outcomes, but the majority of people, I have said this in the public sphere, that over 95% of persons who received the COVID vaccine had no issues with it. So vaccines, in my view, continue to be extremely safe.
Dr. George says the health of the nation is in a good state based on the numbers.
With respect to gastrointestinal disease, respiratory disease, undifferentiated fever, and COVID, we are in a good place. The COVID numbers have come down to a minimum. Weekly, we generate the data and make projections with respect to all public health issues.
And he urges Barbadians to take all necessary precautions where applicable. Sean Farrell, CBC News.
Prime Minister Mia Amar Motley is among world leaders pledging action on climate finance by launching a new coalition for solidarity levies. The launch came at the ongoing UN Climate Change Conference of Parties in Azerbaijan. The new coalition comprises of 16 countries and is spearheaded by France, Kenya and Barbados. It aims to secure sustainable funding for climate action by establishing levies on carbon-intensive industries based on the polluter pays principle. Ms. Motley acknowledges progress has been made over the past few years, but notes it is not enough. She says levies on shipping, aviation and fossil fuel extraction could raise a combined $350 billion a year, and a 0.1% levy on all stock and bond trades could raise $418 billion a year.
We have principles that have guided us thus far. The polluter pays principle is still sound. And therefore, if you have contributed to the problem, you should help contribute to the solution. And secondly, if you're going to benefit from the solution egregiously, in other words, in excess of a rate of return that we can agree to, whether it's 20% or more, that you should also leave a little something on the table. The principles are that you should not cause any one company, entity, or sector to be so disproportionately affected that they cannot carry on their business again. And that is why we are talking about broadening the base as much as we can so that the incidence of the levy will be minimal and not disproportionate in its consequences.
Coming up, water cleared for use in St. Lucie. Local health authorities have given the water in St. Lucie the all clear. The Ministry of Health and Wellness has announced, after conducting numerous tests in the parish, the Environmental Health Department is satisfied the swabbing and chlorination exercise conducted by the Barbados Water Authority has been successful. The ministry stated that the exercise yielded the desired results of rendering the water potable at the time of sampling. It further noted both the clarity and color of water samples in several areas of the parish have improved. As a result, the Ministry of Health, in conjunction with the Barbados Water Authority, has advised the boil water notice, which was previously issued, has been removed, and residents may resume their usual use of tap water. Well, one of the two men shot during an incident at Farm Road, St. Philip last Thursday has died. He's been identified as 56-year-old Lyndon Brathwaite of Ealing Park, Christchurch. Acting Police Communications and Public Affairs Officer Sergeant Liesl Gabriel confirmed the development to CBC News. The deceased was shot in the head, was transported to the Queen Elizabeth Hospital where he had been listed in critical condition. However, he succumbed to his injuries this morning. The other injured man, who was in his 40s, was shot in the arm and was said to be in stable condition. Well, two Christchurch youth slapped with more than a dozen charges, including the recent shootings outside a barbershop at Sheraton Mall, have been remanded to prison. They are Roshan Rujaver Kengal, 19 years, of McLean's Gap, Silver Sands, and Zaniko O'Neill Moore, 24, of Vauxhall. The charges stemming from the shooting at Sheraton, as well as one moments later in Silver Sands, include endangering the life of several people, aggravated criminal damage, possession and unlawful use of a firearm, and having 34 rounds of ammunition. Kangal is separately charged with endangering the life of Omari Chase during another shooting incident on August the 16th in McLean's Gap, Silver Sands, escaping legal custody on September the 1st, and robbery and use of a firearm on September the 28th. They appeared before Magistrate Deidre McKenna in the Oistins Magistrates Court today and are due to reappear in the District B Magistrates Court next Monday. The Barbados Statistical Service is the latest government department to be targeted by hackers. Officials say the systems were breached on October the 30th and that data was obtained by malicious actors. Minister in the Ministry of Economic Affairs and Investment, Chad Blackman, tells CBC News the situation has been contained with systems taken offline. According to him, the investigations so far reveal most of the information involved in the incident relate to survey data gathered primarily for statistical research purposes.
The BSS is cognizant of its obligation so as to preserve public trust in the very important work of the department. We will, over the coming days and weeks, ensure that the systems of the entity are appropriately hardened so as to reduce the probability of a recurrence. I will be coming back to the public to advise on any relevant action that should be taken at the individual level to stay safe online following this event. I want to assure the public that as more information becomes available, the Ministry and the BSS will provide updates to you.
23-year-old Raheem Augustine Joseph is the 2025 Rhodes Scholar for the Commonwealth Caribbean. The announcement was made during a ceremony at State House on yesterday after the selection panel interviewed scores of finalists. The St. Lucian Law and Political Science student was congratulated by President, Her Excellency, the Most Honorable Dame Sandra Mason. Mr. Augustine Joseph spoke to the media following the announcement that he had been awarded the fully funded scholarship for postgraduate studies at Oxford University.
I'm not normally a loss for words, but it feels incredible. I've worked really hard for this over my own academic journey, and as such I think it's an amazing opportunity to be able to add to the region's scholarship and to be able to add value as part of the academic journey and give back to the region. So I think it's an opportunity for me to do so. So I feel elated, happy. I don't know that it has sunk in fully. Maybe it will not.
He also hopes to use the opportunity to contribute to the discourse on several key areas.
Most of the issues that we face on a national level are somewhat replicated across the region. So whether it be crime and violence and ensuring young people have avenues away from that, whether it be some of the economic disparities that we face, some of the income inequalities, or more importantly, whether it be the deepening of democracy across the region, recognizing that all Caribbean countries more or less face some of the same democratic deficiencies. So for me, all of these things sort of coalesce as part of my own thinking and my own thoughts as part of the solutions. Obviously, I'm not projecting any superhero abilities, but really just trying my best to be able to make a very small contribution as part of the regional agenda.
Well, Dame Sandra expressed hope for the future of the Caribbean based on the finalists' intelligence and capabilities. Noting they all fulfilled the criteria for the scholarship, the president encouraged the unsuccessful candidates to reapply next year. Time for sports. Tonight we're joined by Damien Best. Damien, good evening.
Yeah, good evening to you, Pearson. Good evening to all viewers and listeners. Well, everything is on stream for the finals of the inaugural Prime Minister's Cup set for November 30th, Independence Day. That assurance from organizers and key stakeholders at a media briefing at Kensington Oval today. CBC's Anne-Marie Burke was there.
With 48 games completed and 4 more to play, organizers of the inaugural Prime Minister's Cup are already singing the praises of its success. In a press briefing held at the venue set for the Independence Day final, Kensington Oval, chairman of that organizing committee, Omar Eastman, says today they have reached some key milestones.
We've had the highest turnout for games seen in the community, at community grounds. Some games had over 6,000 persons, and that's at the gated communities where we can actually physically use the counters to see persons coming in. Not to say gated, but the mini stadiums that have our fence around that we have, the government of Barbados would have upgraded quite recently. We have a live stream on YouTube and Flow TV coming, which is also going to be seen not only in Barbados but in the Caribbean, so it gives the players a wider reach to display their skills and their development for any scouts or any universities or colleges that may be looking. We would have introduced the technology, so it affords a better quality game with reference to fairness and decisions being challenged. And not let's forget, the players that are involved in this tournament would have participated in many enhancing and empowerment sessions that the Prime Minister would have discussed. And some of these being financial literacy, entrepreneurship, mindfulness, drug awareness and drug use, what it means to be a responsible citizen.
Sharing in the perspective that the tournament has been meeting all its targets is Minister of Sport, the Honourable Charles Griffith.
I'm sure that the Prime Minister is very, very pleased, as I am, in relation to what happened so far in this tournament. All of the KPIs are trending in the right direction, the key performance indicators as outlined by Omari. No incidents. We had a situation where 27 officials, I believe, are involved in this tournament, and it provides an opportunity for those officials to hone their skill in a tournament that is at a totally different level. What is pleasing for me, Kickstart Rush, who is here, they had the youngest player involved in the competition, a 15-year-old. So the tournament also speaks to community development.
As mentioned, November 30th is the date set for the big final at 8 p.m., but it will be preceded by a special Legends game.
We have a Barbados Legends game where we have confirmed participants like Adrian Hall and Gregory Lalu Goodrich, Norman Ford, Daisy Clark. And what these local legends or pillars of the game in Barbados, that some of these younger persons would have never seen played football. They are actually playing against some of the regional and international stars of the game. So we have persons like Stern John, who would have represented Trinidad at the World Cup. We have Ricardo Gardner, who would have represented Jamaica. We have Brent Sancho, also represented Trinidad at the World Cup. We have Ezra Hendrickson, who is coming from St. Vincent, and he actually used to coach in the MLS, one of the first Vincentian to actually coach in the MLS. And these are just some of the persons we have confirmed so far.
It will also be the occasion where local football stalwart Philip Balgrove will be honoured. The semi-finals are set to be played on November 24th at the Friendship Ground, with the third place playoff on the 27th at that same location. Earlier this week, 6,850 Tier 1 tickets for the finals were released and all have been allocated. The admission is free but by ticket only, with organizers set to release Tier 2 tickets within the coming days. Anne-Marie Burke, CBC Sports.
Yeah, thanks, Anne-Marie. Well, the regional Super 50 Cup match between Barbados Pride and West Indies Academy was abandoned today without a ball being bowled at the Sir Frank Worrell Memorial Ground due to rain. It means both teams were awarded 3 points, and the Pride will maintain second place on 45 behind the defending champions Trinidad and Tobago Red Force on 52 points. West Indies Academy, with 1 win so far in the tournament, are in 6th position on 20 points. In today's second match, combined campuses and colleges are taking on the Windward Islands Volcanoes. The current score in that one, Volcanoes sent into bat, reached 307 for 7 from 44 overs. Alec Athenaeus hit 77, Sunil Ambry 70, and Kavim Hodge an even 50. The CCC's response is live on MCTV's ESPN channel. That's 308. We're going to pause here, Pearson, and I'll be back a bit later on with more sports.
Thank you, Damien. We'll pause with you. We'll be back with our business report. In business now, a lead cybersecurity consultant is tonight warning of the possibility of increasingly severe cyber attacks. Edward Millington was speaking to CBC News after the Barbados Statistical Service confirmed its systems had been breached in recent weeks. He believes a risk assessment must be done and a national cybersecurity program rolled out based on international best standards. Mr. Millington warns a failure to take action could result in disruptions to key public services.
If we do not do enough or as much as possible quickly, we are then going to start looking at putting persons at risk, maybe older persons not able to get their pensions, and that list goes on. Because it could be hospital, it could be social services, it could be, let's say, maybe registration department, etc. That type of risk needs to be looked at and evaluated. If we lose some of these government functions, how is it going to affect the public, and how is it going to affect the safety of the public, which is very important because a majority of government offices are interconnected one way or the next, and therefore, again, based on all risk assessment, even that was some level of concern.
Mr. Millington is also advocating for the creation of a national public awareness program for the public.
Even if it come on TV, through newspaper and radio, start teaching persons what to look for, and how to verify before trusting any type of email, even any calls. Remember, hackers also work through the phone, so they can call you highlighting a particular issue, maybe support or whatever else it is, along with using digital channels like emails, what we call landing pages, where you click on it, go to another site, and it looks almost legit. So I think that there needs to be a beefed up or an institute of a cybersecurity awareness program for the public of Barbados.
Celebrating our culture through food. That's the thinking behind the name of the restaurant called Yellow Meat. Trevor Thorpe picks up now the story.
Co-managing director Dwight Ford says the name of the business located in the Arborfoil building in Block Rock celebrates breadfruit, something that's indigenously Bajan.
Yellow meat is Bajan, is what we affectionately call the variety of breadfruit that we love most, right? So for us though, we started this whole business as a way to celebrate our culture through food. So in naming it Yellow Meat, we wanted to obviously pay homage to the breadfruit, but we also, for us, it stands for the entire cultural experience that you have around Bajan food, and that's why it was important for us to choose a Bajan name and to have the yellow in there.
He says visitors are also fond of the product.
We find there are many people who never had roasted breadfruit before, and even for those who had roasted breadfruit before, is a big convenience because roasting breadfruit is work. Yeah, it takes a bit. You got to gather the breadfruit, pick the breadfruit, you got to gather the wood, all that kind of stuff. And even if you roast it, if you're going to have it like how we have it, there's the whole cooking of all the toppings and everything. So we cut all of that out, and you're able to just come down and enjoy the food and enjoy it in an atmosphere just like you're at home.
Meanwhile, co-director and partner Kim Hamlin says the Yellow Meat restaurant will be tweaking its menu for the holidays. Trevor Thorpe for the Business Report.
Here now is tonight's trading report.
In Jamaica, Cygnus Credit Investments Limited ordinary shares with 2,574,184 units was the volume leader, followed by Sagicor Select Funds Limited Financial and Trans-Jamaican Highway Limited. In Trinidad and Tobago, NCB Financial Group Limited was the volume leader, with 37,000 shares changing hands for a value of Trinidad and Tobago $79,550, followed by Guardian Holdings Limited. And here in Barbados, CIBC Caribbean Bank Limited was the volume leader, trading 357 shares at Barbados $2.10 each, and they were followed by Goddard Enterprises Limited and West India Biscuit Company Limited.
And that's tonight's business report. We'll take a break. Weather is next. Well, joining us this evening to make sense of the weather and a whole lot more is Carrie-Ann O'Neill. Carrie-Ann, good evening.
Good evening to you, Pearson, and good evening, everyone. Well, a trough system today generated brief showers across some sections of the island. The winds, they're light to moderate, they're peaking at 17 knots, and strong daytime heating along with convergence maintained some showers across the Guianas. The maximum temperature today was 31 degrees Celsius, the minimum 26 degrees. At present, the temperature stands at 27 degrees Celsius. The relative humidity now at 77%. Those winds are coming in from the southeast. We take a look now at some atmospheric conditions across the region, where the temperatures are ranging from 27 to 29 degrees Celsius. The humidity shows moisture is building across the southern islands, and those winds, they are light to moderate across the region. We take a look now at our satellite feed, where a trough system maintained brief showers today across some sections of the island. We had up to 11 millimeters of rainfall in St. Philip. Thereafter, the ridge pattern was the dominant feature. It also maintained dry and stable conditions across most of the islands. Now, those winds, they're light to moderate, peaking at 17 knots. The seas, moderate and open water, with swells now peaking at 2 meters. Later on tonight, the ridge pattern will maintain a mix of clear and cloudy skies, along with just a few isolated showers. Further south, strong daytime heating along with convergence maintained some showers across the coastal areas of the Guianas. And over in the Western Caribbean, wet conditions prevailed across southern Bahamas, Jamaica, Hispaniola, as well as Puerto Rico. That's our first look at the weather. After the break, we'll have the forecast. Welcome back. In the forecast for tomorrow, the sun is expected to rise at 5:57 and will set at 5:29. Now, the first high tide is expected at 2:25 in the early morning, the first low at 2 minutes after 8 in the morning. The seas, moderate and open water with swells peaking at 2 meters. The winds coming in from the southeast to the southeast, peaking at 20 kilometers per hour. For us here in Barbados tonight, the ridge pattern will maintain a mix of clear and cloudy skies, along with just a few isolated showers. And over the next 3 days, occasionally cloudy skies, along with some showers, can be expected.
Back now with more sports and back with Damien Best.
Yeah, thanks so much, Pearson. Well, Barbadian boxers held their own against their Jamaican and Trinidadian counterparts at the last weekend's Carlton Hope Leno Hall Memorial Tournament at the Graydon City Secondary School. CBC's Mark Seal takes a look at the matchups in the light heavy, light welter and super heavy divisions.
Let's head into the ring with this light heavyweight bout between Jamaica's Shaeen Blake in the red and Barbados' Asa Paul Ford It was a pretty evenly matched up encounter from the get-go, with both men using the weight and bait, trying to land punches to gain points. Blake seemed to be the one who had the upper hand throughout. Here he is landing a punch almost every time he got the opportunity, with Paul Ford more on the defensive. Blake was clearly in full no-nonsense mode, delivering a 1-2 punch combo here, and this is where he sealed the win. An uppercut as the bell goes. Blake securing the first win for the visiting Jamaicans by a unanimous decision. Next, another Bajan-Jamaican clash, with local boy LaShawn Codrington in the blue corner, coming out in the immediate attack, peppering Theron Rose Green with a flurry of punches. He was relentless in what was just the first few seconds of the bout, to the delight of the local fans. But boxing is more about quality shots than quantity. So when Rose Green started to take his revenge, he was landing the punches in the right places, and Codrington was on the back foot. And so after exerting too much energy early, in this latter stage, Codrington was now taking the beating as Rose Green cornered him time and time again, and he had no response. And soon he would concede, as the Jamaican was fully warmed up by now. Codrington taking the count and says, "No mas, no more. It's a done deal in the second round. Your winner." The Jamaicans can celebrate yet again. Theron Rose Green, the victor. Now to the first of two light welterweight bouts, an all-local affair. Yahim Estwick in the red and Abisha Jean-Baptiste in the blue. Both boxers throwing the punches, and at this point, neither really had the upper hand. It was in the second round, however, that Estwick started to come alive, and Jean-Baptiste was not going down without a fight either, as the crowd was loving the exchanges. This would definitely be decided by the judges, and if I had to call it, Estwick was the one delivering more shots that counted, although both boxers were definitely exhausted at this point. Estwick more than likely secured the win right here. This was the winning punch. In the red corner, your winner, Yahim Estwick. The other light welterweight bout featured local boy Peter Murray in the blue against Trinidad and Tobago's Donnell Phillips. Murray was on a mission to conquer in what was now the second round. He was exerting his dominance. His opponent dancing all around the ring trying to escape the onslaught of punches, but Murray was stirred up by the local crowd. Murray was the stronger of the two as well, and his dominance was clear, pinning his opponent to the ropes as he hammered punch after punch. No easing up, dishing out jab after jab after jab before the referee would call reprieve for his opponent. The crowd urging him on, but the bell would go. Triumph in the Bajan camp, and he was also adjudged best boxer on the night. Now to the fight that brought fireworks. In the yellow, Jamaica's Tyrese Thompson, and in the blue, Barbados' Seth Lawrence. The clash of the super heavyweights. And Lawrence came out a swarmer, hitting Thompson relentlessly, giving him very little room to maneuver or plant a punch of his own. The gym was in an uproar, as when Thompson landed one or two punches, Lawrence responded with double the blows. The crowd was brought to his feet over and over. Lawrence stood over his Jamaican opponent, and at this stage, almost bringing him to his knees. A short breather as Thompson came back with a vengeance, throwing 3 quick punches to Lawrence, before Lawrence responded with no mercy. And it was signed, sealed, and delivered shortly after that. The crowd in full frenzy. It's all over. What a way to end the night of boxing. Quoting Freddie Mercury, another one bites the dust. Seth Lawrence taking out Tyrese Thompson to be your super heavyweight champion. Mark Seal, CBC Sports.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. Well, the 3 goals Britain's Hill put past Notre Dame set them up for a place in the semi-finals of the Prime Minister's Cup competition. Tonight, one of them gets our vote for Play of the Week.
Maybe it's a top goal, or maybe a top save, or an assist for the books. Let's play ball. Here's your Flow Prime Minister's Cup Play of the Week. Stay connected at home and on the go with Flow. So often we focus on the goal scorer, but for me, our Play of the Week was truly created by the man who actually took the corner kick, Corey Hoyt. It was about precise placement. Watch it again. and Cozy Reed was gifted the perfect crossing point to head it home, and Britain's Hill were on their way to the semi-finals. That was your Flow Play of the Week, the outstanding moment from the latest action in the Prime Minister's Cup. Stay connected at home and on the go with Flow.
Well, that is my time for sports tonight. Pearson, it's back over to you.
You know, Damien, while the boxing report was on, you should have seen our interpreter Chanel's face.
She was boxing as well. She was boxing as well. I saw it.
Indeed. All right, we'll take a break. We're coming back in a moment.
The facts say Morning Barbados reaches an audience of over 50,000 and Newsnight reaches over 56,000. It's simple. When you advertise, you're getting your message to over 50,000 of your potential customers. Make the call to CBC Sales Department today and watch your business grow. Contact us at 467-5559 or email marketing@cbc.bb.
Well, that's our time tonight. Thank you for spending it with us. I'm Pearson Bowen. For the crew, to all of you, good night. By God's will, we'll see you tomorrow.